Hi, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, my name's Angie. I'm a registered nurse. I've been working as a nurse for about 1.5 years. I did an associate degree nursing program first, and then I did my BSN while I was working as a nurse. Just so you guys know, I don't have a fancy camera, I don't have editing software, so this video is going to sound a little rushed, just because for right now I don't have a good setup and I can't edit my videos. But I'm working on that. Okay, so first piece of advice, I'm here today, by the way, to tell you guys how I was successful in nursing school. I got a 4.0 GPA in both of my programs. I'm just going to tell you guys what worked for me, and hopefully some of this can work for you too. First piece of advice, I had a Chromebook in nursing school. I'm very grateful to my brother. He recommended getting a Chromebook when I was in college. If you don't know what a Chromebook is, it runs on Chrome OS. It is a Google product, and you cannot have Microsoft Office or things like that downloaded or installed on your Chromebook, but the equivalent on your Chromebook, which this is my Chromebook, would be Google Drive. So each of my Chromebooks were about $150 to $250 brand new. They are very affordable. They're really compact, light, and easy to carry around with you to classes. And each of them came with 100 gigabytes of free Google Drive storage. Google Drive is accessible through your Google account, aka like your Gmail account is probably the easiest way to explain it. You can sign into that account on any computer. It doesn't just have to be your Chromebook. Your documents automatically save as you're typing them up, so you don't have to worry about losing them. And like I said, it is on the internet. You can access any of your documents, so you never have to worry that they're going to get lost if your computer dies on you or whatever the problem may be. So, okay, I recommend having a Chromebook. It was really good for me because I would have electronic textbooks that I had on my Chromebook. I had all of my notes on my Chromebook, and it was something that I could carry with me to every single class. I never had a paper textbook in nursing school. I never had a heavy backpack to carry around. I had all the information I needed on this Chromebook, and like I said, these are super affordable, so I recommend that. By the way, this is definitely not sponsored. Google doesn't even know I exist. Okay, so as I mentioned, I would take my Chromebook to every class with me. I had my electronic textbook package that my school offered to me. So if they have that, I recommend it because you can have your textbooks with you anywhere and study anytime you need to. You can also copy and paste information into study guides, which I'll talk about in a minute. So I would bring my Chromebook to class, I would open it up, and what I would do is I would download my teacher's PowerPoints onto my Chromebook. The equivalent on Google Drive is Google Slides. So ask your teachers if they don't upload your PowerPoints onto Blackboard or whatever you guys are using, ask them to upload these PowerPoints so that you can download them and you can type notes directly in these PowerPoints. So I would open up PowerPoints and I would go through every slide as my teacher was talking through them, and I would type up exactly what my teacher said during lecture. I'm a fast typer, so that worked for me. You can also record lectures if you can't keep up with your teacher and then listen back later and complete your notes that way. So I would go through every single slide and I would take notes in that little notes section down below so that later when I was studying, I pretty much had the exact lectures in front of me, so I knew exactly what was important to my teachers and I would remember what they said during class. Then I would wait to go through textbooks until I had actual study guides in front of me. I am not a big textbook person. I think textbooks are really dense. They can have a lot of information in them, and it's really hard to narrow down on what's important. Sometimes if you cram too much info into your brain, it could also get jumbled up, and I feel like you'll forget things. So I would wait until my teachers would tell us, either have a paper study guide or at least ask them one day during class, hey, in the last 10 minutes, can we go through what's important for the exam? Can you tell us key points to focus on? Once they told us that information, then I would take my study guide, I would open it side by side with my electronic textbooks, and I would copy and paste information directly from my e-textbook into my study guide. Another tip, with Google Drive, it's really cool because when you make a Google document, you can share it with friends. So I would share it with like 3 or 4 study buddies, and we would go through the entire study guide, copy and paste it onto this document. And when everybody had time, they would go in and they would contribute to the study guide. It gets saved automatically, and everybody that you share the document with can see it. So that was really cool because by the time we all got together in our study groups and we would study together, everything was already filled out by everybody who had contributed to the document, and we could all access it at any time. And I can explain that more in another video. If that's confusing to you guys, just let me know and I can make a separate video about Chromebooks and Google Drive and things like that. Okay. So as I just mentioned, we would do study groups. That was really helpful to me because what I recommend is kind of trying to find some personalities that work well with your way of studying. I am a big lecturer. For me, I know that I've really mastered a piece of information when I can explain it to someone else. So I would either Even teach out loud to yourself. If you don't have study groups, if you don't have time for them, you're not a social person, whatever works for you, teach out loud to yourself. Talk to yourself and see if you can really relay information to yourself or to someone else, because in my opinion, you know you've mastered a topic when you can explain it to someone else. That's when I would feel comfortable and confident. So study groups were good for me. We would especially have study groups close to exam time, like in that week preceding the exam. That was very helpful to me. Another tip, I was a big cram studier, and I'm not saying wait to start studying until exam day, but I'm just saying I'm not one of those people who, when people say, oh, don't study on exam day, you're not going to remember that information. That actually worked very well for me. I study under pressure, and that was when I would really buckle down. So I guess moral of the story is find out what works for you, because I am a big cram studier. Even for the NCLEX, I was the same way. I would study on exam day, even going into the exam, and that worked well for me too. So study groups were good. Study guides, go through that textbook once you have a study guide, rather than like trying to read an entire chapter, because that's just overwhelming, and honestly you don't have time for it in nursing school. Also download PowerPoints and take notes. That's where we're at so far. Another thing I recommend is recording lectures if you can. I had a tiny little recorder. The brand was edTech City. I got it off of Amazon for like 30 or 35 bucks. Just ask your teacher for permission to record her lectures or his lectures. No one ever had an issue with that. We would all just put our recorders up at the front of the room, and then you can listen back later. Number one, that's good for you if you're a slow note taker. You can go through those recordings later and fill in any blanks. Number two, it was good for driving. That's when I would listen to recorded lectures, is when I was driving in the car, like to nursing school or to work. I would plug in my aux cord and I would listen to lectures, and that just worked well for me. I didn't like wasting time on listening to lectures otherwise. That was just the best time for me to do it. So I recommend recording lectures so you have them accessible to you later, even for like evidence, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Okay, so like I said, studying close to exam time worked for me, so figure out what works for you. Also, go to test reviews after your exams are over. So what I mean is, a lot of times your teachers will offer to go through exam questions with you guys after your exam scores come back. This is a good time to, number one, understand how NCLEX style questions work. Number two, understand how your teacher's brain works. And number three, discuss. So remember what I was saying about evidence before? So this would be a time when we would actually get points back on our exams, because we would say, hey, you said this when you were talking in lecture, or this is the reason that I answered this way, or hey, you actually, this is the wrong answer. Like sometimes you would catch your teachers making mistakes. So going to exam reviews after the exam was super helpful, because you could get points back that way, and you could kind of like defend yourself, because I'm sure you guys have heard, if you know anything about nursing school, a lot of times you'll have multiple correct answers on your exams, and the thing is picking which one is the most correct. So again, this is a good time to go and discuss, defend your answers, and find out also why your teacher answered the way that they did, which can benefit you for the next exam. Another thing, take advantage of your teacher's office hours. So first of all, it allows you to kind of get to know your professors better, get to know the way that they think, but also if you have any questions on your study guides or you're not understanding something, professors are always super willing, like they have to be there during their office hours, so you might as well take advantage of that time. Go and ask them questions, go and clarify things that didn't make sense during lecture. Maybe they were talking too fast, maybe you're too shy to ask a question in front of a bunch of classmates. So take the time during office hours to clarify things that don't make sense, and go and talk to your teachers and get to know their way of thinking and study with them, review with them. That's what they're there for. Take advantage of that. So I'm just going to summarize for you guys. I hope this was helpful, because I'm telling you guys, these things worked for me. Get a Chromebook, store all of your stuff in one place on your Chromebook on Google Drive. Get electronic textbooks if you can, because you can carry them with you anywhere and study anytime you have free time. Wait for your study guides to go through the textbook. Have study groups with your friends. Try to teach and explain concepts to other people or yourself out loud if you can. Record lectures. Study close to exam time or whenever works for you. Study even, you know, before clinicals when you're waiting in the car. And then go to test reviews and take advantage of your teacher's office hours. I hope this helped you guys. I'm sorry it's rushed. I'm working on getting a better camera, and I'm working on getting editing software. But thanks for being here. I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care and good luck with nursing school.